The letter you are about to hear is a work of fiction. All names, events, and circumstances are entirely imaginary and created for narrative and artistic purposes. This story does not depict or promote violence, crime, or punishment. It is a reflection on the human experience, memory, love, and the acceptance of death. I am writing this in the hours when the world feels smaller, not asleep, not awake, just quiet enough to hear yourself think without interruption. I have learned that this is where truth waits, not in loud moments, not in explanations, but here, in the space between breaths. I do not know how many words a person is meant to leave behind. I only know that I no longer want to leave anything unsaid. Not because it would change anything, but because silence, when chosen too long, begins to feel like dishonesty. I have spent much of my life being necessary, being depended on, being the place where other people rested their weight. I learned early how to be strong quietly, how to carry without asking to be noticed, how to survive by becoming reliable. What I did not learn until much later was how to rest without guilt. There is a difference between strength and endurance. I confused them for a long time. Endurance asks you to disappear slowly. Strength does not. I see now how often I stayed silent to keep the peace, how often I softened my truth so it would not trouble anyone else. I told myself it was love. Sometimes it was. Sometimes it was fear wearing love's voice, fear of becoming difficult, fear of being misunderstood, fear of needing something that could not be given. I became skilled at not needing, at least that is what it looked like. Inside, I was just practiced at postponing myself. There is a cost to that kind of patience. It does not arrive all at once. It arrives slowly, in missed moments, in words you rehearse but never say, in parts of yourself that grow quieter from lack of use. I do not regret loving deeply. I regret believing that love required my constant erasure. Here, there is nothing left to perform, no roles to maintain, no expectations to manage. What remains is the simplest version of me, not the strongest, not the most forgiving, just the most honest. And honesty is gentler than I expected. I am not writing this to ask for understanding. Understanding is something people reach when they are ready. I am writing to release myself from waiting to be understood. Waiting can become a kind of prison if you stay in it long enough. I accept now that some people only know how to love from a distance. that closeness frightened them, that consistency bored them, that tenderness asked more than they could give. That does not make them cruel, it makes them limited. And I no longer need to punish myself for someone else's limits. There were moments when I wanted to be chosen, not symbolically, not eventually, but deliberately. I wanted to be someone's first answer, not their safe return, someone's presence, not their assumption. It took me a long time to admit that wanting this did not make me weak. There is nothing shameful about wanting to matter while you are still here. I see now how I tried to earn permanence by being indispensable. But permanence does not come from usefulness. It comes from willingness, and willingness cannot be negotiated. I forgive myself for staying too long in places where I had already been replaced by habit. This ending does not feel sharp. It feels complete, not because everything was resolved, but because nothing is being resisted anymore. I am no longer asking life to rearrange itself so I can be comfortable. I am simply standing where I am without argument. I am not afraid, not because I am brave, but because fear needs alternatives, and there are none left to bargain with. What remains is acceptance, and acceptance, I have learned, is not surrender. It is alignment. I am aligned now with what was possible and what was not. If there is one truth I leave behind, it is this: you do not have to disappear to be loved. You do not have to stay quiet to be kept. You do not have to suffer beautifully to be worthy. Love that asks for your vanishing is not love. It is convenience. I am finished confusing the two. This letter is not a goodbye. It is a boundary, drawn gently at the end of my voice. I step forward now without needing to be remembered correctly, without needing to be understood fully, without needing to be forgiven for existing. I existed. I loved. I stayed longer than I should have, and I am leaving without resentment. That is enough.